Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, comedian, magician, Danny Whitson. But it's all tricks aside, because tonight we're turning the paranormal into the normal. Join me as we explore the gray areas of reality. We're going to talk all things paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and aliens, and see how it's all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and we are live. So if you're an experiencer yourself, or you're just plain nosy, be sure to send me your question and subscribe to the podcast. Now, get ready, because it's going to get deep. No, really, we're going to go way out there, because this is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. All right, what's happening, my paranormal junkies? This is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, and I'm your host, Danny Whitson. This is my first episode ever, so I'm super excited. I'm so glad for you guys to be tuning in, because tonight we have an amazing guest. Not only is he amazing, but he's the founder of the TESA network and also a very popular UFO investigator, Ryan Stacey. Let's hear it for Ryan. Come on, Ryan. How you doing, man?
Man, I am good. It's so good to be back, and it's weird, but I'm in the other seat.
This is awkward because this is your baby.
It is my baby. Handle it with care, please. My paranormal, what'd you say? Junkies.
Yeah, paranormal junkies. Okay, that's what I have become ever since I interviewed you a few years ago on my old podcast, The Abracadam. And ever since then, I have been hooked on UFOs. I've always been interested in ghosts, but you got my mind open and thinking. So I tell you what, now, I know a lot of the guests know who you are, but some of the guests may be tuning in for the first time for this episode. So if you don't mind, go ahead and let them know a little bit about your background.
Okay, so my name is Ryan Stacey. I am the former National Chief Investigator for MUFON Canada. I am the former Director of Field Investigating Training for MUFON National. I am a private investigator. I own and operate my own private investigating company. I've been involved with the UFO phenomenon since 2018, I believe, no, 15. And I've done a lot of stuff over the years. I've created the Experiencer Support Association as a response to all the problems that I saw within MUFON and everything else that's still happening. And I've done extensive research, declassified documents. I've assisted people behind the scenes the last few years. I've been solely responsible for stirring the pot intentionally to get certain things to fall apart. Those contracts have ended. Those tasks I've removed myself from assisting these people. I'm a free agent again. And I feel good because, I kind of fucked a lot of people up. And now that everything's out in the open and, I'm just ready to do what I do best and continue to spoil things. And that is courtesy of you taking over this podcast, because this podcast, although is my baby, CC has helped me in the past. In the background, and now Chris, this podcast has evolved. This is not just my baby, it's a baby for a lot of people. But by freeing me up, I can get into the investigations, I can get into the research, I can get into all these other things that I promised that I would do for the people. And TESA is for you and for everybody else that is listening, but I can't do them both well. And now that I don't have to be the host anymore.
Well, here's the wonderful thing about you. The wonderful thing about you is whenever I was first, looking into UFOs, and a lot of people who are not part of the world and haven't, been exposed to what is really going on, a lot of people have a tendency to think, oh, they're crazy. Those people are weird. but meeting you, seeing somebody who takes these things serious in the way you thoroughly investigate everything that comes across your table there. You just don't believe something because it's fun to believe in. No, but you look for the facts, you break things down. And I mean, just like I believe we talked about a UFO that you picture you had a UFO and you showed how high it was versus the trees. This is how the size of this object, what it has to be. You really do your research. And which I respect that because, I approach a lot of things as a skeptic a lot of times. And now I am a hardcore believer. I tell people, I was like, I know this sounds batshit crazy, guys, but this is real. And all because of you. Now, let me ask you real quick, because you have been involved in a lot of things. MUFON, I mean, you've been everywhere. And you're a private investigator. What got you, though, interested in the ufology, and the paranormal research of things?
Well, so paranormal is my roots. I've always been into ghosts and magic and things like that. Only recently have I started to explore it, or I guess be open about it. I've had experience, with which helped create TESA, and then now I've kind of been doing some intense personal work, and now that I'm in a good place now where I'm being open about it. But the UFO mess came in because someone had purchased a manual from MUFON but didn't get it, and then I saw some social posts about crime, alleged crime and thieves and stuff like that, and I bought into it because I just started my private investigating company, and then I was helping to determine where that book had come from and solve that problem, and then I got introduced to MUFON and blah blah blah, and then I had to talk to the Canadian rep, and the Canadian rep talked about my experience, asked me if I would join. And I just said, well, I got nothing to do, so might as well. And then I joined. And then,
so the paranormal was an interest first. Before, I mean, you weren't like a diehard fan of Columbo, by the way. I am. The one more thing, but I mean, or are you just a nosy bastard? The PI work.
But I'm more of a Magnum PI guy,
a Magnum PI. We're gonna go with a good-looking dude. But those are skills that are very helpful in what you do. You're able to really not just take some crazy story, like I said, because it's fun to believe, but you really get down to the facts and the nicks and crannies of the whole thing. Now, something that I wondered, I don't even think I asked you this the first time I ever interviewed you, but did you have a paranormal or UFO experience? Because one thing I love to hear people's stories. I love to hear their experiences.
So I've had a few, so there's different stages in my development here. So what I think now is not what I thought then, but back in the day, I did experience what I thought was, I guess, paranormal activity, in the sense of I would hear voices, thinking that people were talking to me, and I go into the room and they weren't there, and then I'd see them show up, walk through the front door, and be like, I know I heard it plain and day. I've heard objects turn and fall and make noise, but no one in the room. Weird things like that. And I'm always thinking ghost, paranormal, all this other stuff, and then as I got into the investigative policing kind of type world, I also served in the Army too. So there's a lot of militant type of stuff that I've been kind of going with. But that led me to the nuts and bolts. Everything has to be explained and blah, blah, blah. And UFOs are just machines and government stuff and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But then I would get into the experiencer part where they would talk about abductions and these entities. And I started seeing what appeared to be, paranormal kind of overlap. What could be a shadow figure, could be an extraterrestrial, or it could be technology and all these other things and what have you. And then fast forward through the MUFON stuff, because that was like, the issue is because it was all paranormal, but they wanted to stay away from the word paranormal, which simply just means
it's always, the first time you told me that, dude, I literally, it was hilarious because I pictured I pictured the UFO guy showing up to the UFO cafeteria tables like, guys, I got to tell you about ghosts. And they're like, get this guy the hell out of here. He's crazy. So
look at me now. So then I had my experience though. And I had my experience in 2018 winter solstice, which, rocked my world. And I just recently wrote an article about it after 4 years of studying it and trying to understand what this message may have meant. And I put some conclusions together. So this experience was more so a psychogenic, like a mental experience where I seen an image, which is the TESA symbol. I was obsessed with it. I couldn't figure out what it meant. I just had to draw it. I had to put it out there. And then with it, I was just like putting it out there. And then I started meeting people, and then other people gravitated towards it. Some people came for a reason, season, lifetime, all those types of things have happened gravitating around this symbol. And then I studied the esoteric meanings in it. I evolved in a few degrees in masonry and things like that since then. So I've started to learn to put these pieces together, that this real complex artwork has come from a higher power, whether that is my higher consciousness or extraterrestrial or another dimension in time. And all this stuff that I'm talking about right now, I had no fucking clue what that was when I was working with MUFON. I could not comprehend the fourth dimension for the life of me. And this thing helped me understand that. Also, through talking to other people, CC as well, when she was running the podcast or helping with the podcast, mind you, she opened my mind to a lot of things. And since then, I've seen some connections. A lot of things have happened. So it's like I'm all over the map. But now I'm not batshit crazy. I'm like batshit like ready, I would say.
Well, okay,
and
so
I'm comfortable with what I
let me slow down.
Yeah.
Let me slow down just for a second here, okay? Just for a second. So because like I said, the people who are following Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, awesome. Thank you. You're familiar probably with a lot of these terms, the paranormal UFO community. Newbies, though, on the other hand, are like, what the hell's he talking about? So,
and my wife helped me through a lot of stuff. There is a lot of crap that I had to process and let go. And this ego of mine too, I had to fight that like a son of a bitch to accept that in the science world that this stuff does exist. And I've proven it to myself and I know it. But the hard part now is proving it to everybody else because they only believe what they want to believe.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. First of all, I want to go back to something very interesting that you said at first. Okay. Now, you said that you saw the TESA image. So what happened? What'd you do? Did you walk in the room, see it? Did you see it on a burnt piece of toast? Where did you see the TESA image?
It was in my mind. Like I could see it like a movie playing in my mind. I had this ice pick headache. It was pounding. I couldn't stop seeing it until I drew it. And then when I drew it, I don't remember the creation of it. So like I remember starting it, I remember finishing it. In between, maybe I was cognitive of that. I don't know. It's too long ago. But the way that everything lined up afterwards had these synchronicities with colors, with symbols, with religions, with different theories, dimensions. And I know that my primitive brain back then did not know what any of that stuff was. But as other people in the community saw it, introduced me to things that they already knew, and then I did a fact check and trust but verify kind of scenario on everything. Then I started to get a little paranoid because it's like, how did my brain comprehend all of this? Forget extraterrestrials. I'm mentally ill. I'm in a form of trauma because I'm leaving MUFON. I assisted in putting Jan Harzan in jail. Everybody hates me. It was a dark time. A fun fact, but nobody knew that.
So here, hold on. Let's see. I don't know who Jan is, but you put Jan in jail.
I did not. I assisted.
You assisted. Jan, I'm assuming Jan did some bad stuff. So
the head of MUFON at the time.
Okay.
He's probably on Epstein's list. I'll just say that.
He's on Epstein's list, Jan.
I don't know. So Anyways, a lot of shit has changed. But the thing is I got to be honest, as an experiencer, experiencing all these other things, I have challenged my mental health. I've been depressed. I've been angry. I've been sad. I've gone through all of it. I've been in therapy, honestly, to deal with PTSD from my army. And all in doing that, I'm thinking this paranormal experience that I'm having, is just a result of, my brain being broken at that point. And then I've been rehabilitated. Things like that have happened. And I'm almost, done everything that I'm supposed to do. But part of that was also releasing all these triggers that stressed me. But by doing that, releasing those superficial things, I became more faithful. I became more spiritual. I started to listening. I'm more in tuned. I can feel this energy. I started trusting it. And before, I used to repel it because I'm like, not me. These guys are weird. I'm not weird. Not me. But now it's like, okay, yes, me. I am, a part of this. But what part of this do I play, and what part of that, and how does that help? And that's where TESA comes in, because I still need to study. But when I was studying other people, I didn't really realize that I was looking for more people like myself, which is what majority of all these investigators are doing, is they're trying to find more things to relate about because they've had these experiences. And my experiences in particular don't involve extraterrestrial beings or UFO crafts, but that doesn't mean I don't believe it possible. What I've learned is that there is another space where this information is shared, where it's coming from. I do understand the science where we're at antennas and we can receive energy. We can receive information. We could do telepathy or telekinesis. I am understanding that that's possible. Where that's coming from, I'm having I'm very certain, or I'll say a high probability, that we are responsible for. We are super beings. We are capable of doing it. It's not paranormal. It's not extraterrestrial. It's us. We are the extraterrestrials. We are the beings. We are the ones that are doing this, but there's suppression. So when I'm doing the disclosure stuff, learning and going through this therapy trauma and all this other stuff, childhood stuff too, just trying to make sense. And I anchor in on this experience thinking, what is this all about? And then anyways, I'm just kind of all over the place.
Well, I remember when I had you on, as a guest.
Yeah.
Because I'd always I've had my own personal paranormal ghost experiences, if that's what you want to call them. If that's what it was, I don't know. So I've always had that belief in my mind. Had never had a UFO type experience until recently. So I was always on the fence with that. 100% didn't believe Bigfoot at all. I always talk about the big three. That's the big three: ghosts, aliens, and Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And then when I talked to you, you had brought into this theory that everything was connected in a way. And it wasn't until, I did a little research on my own, some thinking on my own, some putting some this and that together. And now I'm on board with that theory because, how little we actually know about consciousness, how it works, in the spiritual world that does exist. Before I wasn't a really big believer of that. I was logic, rationality, if it's not this in this world, it's not real. And now that's not the case at all with me. And like I said, after talking with you, it really opened my mind and made me do some real research on my own. And, kind of figured some things out. Now, I think the more questions you look for answers for, the more questions you get, unfortunately. That's kind of how things work like that.
Mm-hmm.
But with you, when did you realize? And like I said, a lot of people don't like mixing their potatoes and their peas. You know what I mean? They want to keep their ghost over here. They want to keep UFOs over here. But here's the thing. I think there's something going on here where it's all connected. I think I don't know exactly.
It has to be connected, and I believe it.
Going on where it's all connected.
Yeah. So I believe.
When did you realize? When did that start to become a thought for you?
Well, I saw the parallel with MUFON when I got into the experiencer cases, the nuts and bolts UFO stuff. I dismissed that as government machines a long time ago. I still think this UFO disclosure thing is just a ruse to cover up and blah blah blah. Like none of that. That's not what's really going on. But the people are affected by it. And then when I had my experience and I got this map and I started looking at the symbols and the icons and the alchemy and the certain working tools for masonry on there too that send a message that says to pursue the hidden mysteries of nature and science. And with that, I looked at the Hynek and Vallée classification system, and I created my own classification system, which is called the Ultraspectrum Classification System, where I was able to actually show that it's possible that these things are connected by removing labels. So a UFO is simply aerial activity. It's called an unidentified flying object to you because you don't know what it is. But the government might know what it is. But they may not tell us what it is. But we can agree that it's something in the sky and it's there. It's real. It's in the sky. It may not be normal to us, but it could be normal to someone. At the same time, allowing the paranormal community to look at these spirit orbs, which are also, to make them cringe, could be dust orbs, could be bugs, could be all those things. But it's still aerial activity. So instead of calling it paranormal, meaning it's not normal, it's just accepting the possibility that, both schools of thought here is that we're working with some sort of light that is in the sky, and we classify that as aerial activity. With beings, I call them beings observed, entities. So instead of putting a label on it, we have a tall, dark type figure that is standing in the bedroom. We don't call him a hat man just because he's wearing a hat. He could be the Men in Black. He might not even be wearing a hat. It could be a beacon, just don't see the top of his head. Then you have these Pleiadians. That's a label that is specific to where they're coming from a star system, but you don't know for a fact that they came from that star system. For all we know, they came from the closet. Or they're up north, they're Scandinavian, they're Vikings, who knows? So there's a lot of judgment and there's a lot of labels on these things. So what I did is I built this system to break it all down so you can understand that it is connected. And what connects it is us. We are able to see it. We are able to see it in my mind. So just and to help validate some of these experiences that happen when a lot of people, like when I worked with MUFON, a lot of people wouldn't have any evidence. And MUFON's protocol was just no evidence, we don't care. Why? Because they want to make money off of it. They want to profit off of it. It's not credible if it comes from their mind. Well, analogical evidence is drawings. You can draw it. And when you draw it and you work with it and you have 100 people from different places drawing the same thing and you get one person to take a picture and all these drawings match, well, then there's some circumstantial evidence there. But the reason that people aren't able to take photographs, I started to think because of my own experience that maybe they thought it was happening in the three-dimensional world when it actually wasn't. So they saw it in the fourth or fifth dimension, however they want to do it, plain as day. And that's why the person beside them couldn't see it. They pulled up their phone, they took a picture, they missed it, it wasn't there. And when you add consciousness to that in that investigative level, that connects us because we're getting the information from the same place, which I call the ultraspectrum.
Now I gotta say, let me say this real quick. Okay, I'm with you 100%, 100%. Okay. I had this conversation with a friend the other day when we were talking about, like with the alien abductions. Okay, first of all, it's a little weird that everybody sees the same thing. A lot of people experience the same thing, that the same type of beings when this happens. Now, medical science will tell you that these people are more than likely experiencing sleep paralysis, which is very real, happens to people. It's a horrible experience. And okay, now here's the thing. 100%, I agree. That is what is happening in one realm of reality. But in another reality, in their mind, there's two things that these people experience. Number one, it's alien abduction. And number two, Sometimes it's a demon sitting on their chest. Okay. Why are these people experiencing the same exact experiences during this sleep paralysis? Okay. So it makes me wonder if in the physical world, yes, it can be explained by, well, the brain is trying to wake up, but the body is still paralyzed from dreaming. The reason why you're paralyzed during dreaming, so you don't act out your dreams. Yes, that's fact, medical fact. Yes. But in the other reality, this other dimension, this other consciousness that we have, they're experiencing something completely different, which doesn't make it not real. So I find that very interesting that all these people who do suffer, who've had this experience very similar things.
But it was real for them.
And absolutely. It was real. It was real.
And I do believe that we are experiencing something. I am a skeptical believer. I cannot go back to say that there is not some external force, even if it's consciousness, just my higher self. That is still a new realm that I'm exploring that makes it me as an individual human being, a more powerful human being than I thought. How's that for fighting freaking ego? So I had to, so believing it. Then, the other part of the battle is this truth. Truth for whom, and truth, there's personal truths and then there's, global truths. A lot of people in this fight, I would say, for disclosure, are trying to get validation for all of it. Does the government cover up everything? Maybe not everything, maybe a lot of things, but not all of it. And, is all of what they're hiding extraterrestrial? Or is it government, or a combination of everything? Everything is like a melting pot, if you will. And all these things are happening, but because they had their own personal experience that can't be explained, when they get all these things and these different thoughts and the media and Ella Dongo and all those other cheap messiahs out there putting out these false narratives, it creates that fear because they know something has happened to them. And it could also very well be past life, or it could be current life traumas that they haven't dealt with either. Some people that are, I guess I'm all over the map. I haven't done this in a while. But the hard part is that validation. The experiencers want to know that they're not alone, but they also should take heed of the information that they get and do their own research, because just if I were to put a label on it, which is improper, it changes your faith, it changes your belief system, and all these other things. So you got to kind of do your own research and figure out what it is for yourself and accept all these possibilities and still look into it. I don't know, it's all a mess. But if you're trying to prove it for yourself, and that's where I'm taking a page in my own book, because this year I've been focused on unity, bringing everything together and focusing on myself becoming one. Next year's contact, and that's part of a 5-year business plan that came with the TESA map vision. As I'm trying to realize that I got enough truth for myself. I don't have to prove to everyone that the shape of the earth is questionable. We'll put it that way. What shape it is, how that is, and why that's relevant, I don't need to do those fights anymore. I did those fights because I needed to test them. I needed to verify that the information that I was given or that I received from whatever way that happened was accurate.
Hold on 1 second, Ryan. Now, hold on.
Yeah.
You're jumping to another debatable topic.
So beyond the tinfoil hat, baby.
Now, here's the thing. I agree with a lot that you say. I agree with a lot. I don't know if I'm on, Are you saying that the flat earth? Are you jumping on flat earth?
I didn't say flat earth. You did. I said the shape of the earth is questionable. It used to be a globe. Now they're saying it's pear-shaped, and then they're saying it's a flattened,
we get stretched out.
Stretched out a lot. Forget flat earth. That's nothing, right? It's still not what they're showing. It's still not what they're telling. It's questionable. That's stuff we should know by then, right? So But time is linear, space and time. There's so many different things. It means more than that. It's not just, it's like a non-rotation and things like that. You get into the whole complex thing. But the point I'm trying to get at is I'm no longer fighting to prove that point. I know. And when I know and I'm confident of the way things are, I was stuck with two things. I either just let it go and be like, okay, I got the answers. I know this world fucking sucks and there's nothing we can do about it. Maybe we're stuck in a snow globe. We can't go anywhere. When we die, nothing happens. This is reality. That learning those things as being possible after doing the research and talking to these communities made me depressed, made me upset, made me angry, because I can see the possibility. And when you compare that to the way that the world is running these days, a lot of things make sense. So how do you change that? Well, you can either just live your life and be peaceful and stick away, or you put yourself back into the fight and try to make a difference. And instead of pushing for disclosure, I am assisting with the confirmation by verifying the information that needs to come out while helping other experiencers deal with the stuff that that they need to deal with and process.
Well, one thing, let me talk about this too, because like I said, it can be, a lot of this coming at people a lot of once if they're new to this topic or they've always had the interest, and you'd be surprised, like when I turn my YouTube on, all I see is UFO this, ghost this, and to me, I see UFO topic in the news. I see it constantly. It's in my face constantly. So in my world, I'm stepping outside thinking this is top news. This is top of the bill right here. This is what everybody's talking about. No, it's not. Only people in the community are really aware of how hot UFO, topic is right now, especially here in the States. This is the only time in American history to where UFOs has actually been talked about and considered a serious topic. For the first time, we finally have people looking at this, like Tim Burchett here in my home state of Tennessee has really tackled the issue, and Congressperson Luna, I think from Florida, state of Florida, they've really tackled the issue to try to get some answers here. Okay, that's never happened, ever been this serious. So people who are new to this topic a lot of them aren't even aware of that, because the mainstream media still doesn't play this. They still don't advertise it. You do have to go to some of the alternative, I don't know what in the hell you want to call it, some type of alternative news groups that are on YouTube right now, which thank God for, that we have those. Because they actually, give news that's really interesting that people really want to hear. But here's my point.
Yeah.
Is people who are watching this episode, or you come back and listen to the episode, Ryan has a lot. There's a lot of info coming at you, a lot of stuff in it. Some of it may sound weird as hell, but I promise you it's real. He knows what the hell he's talking about.
Sometimes.
He's not a crackpot. He's an educated private investigator. He's been doing this a long time, and he really breaks things down. And if it comes out of your mouth, brother, it's gospel to me.
I appreciate that, and to be honest, I'm a little more free than I have been. I've been reserved because I've been worried about how it would affect business and all these other things, and the more that I've accepted the way that things are and become more confident in myself and things, it's been a little bit easier. But I've been doing this a long time, and I might believe some of these things a little bit too much, but I do still need to be dialed down, which is why I focus on the facts. And you're right, I do have research on the Experiencer Support Association. There's tons and plethora of all of the declassified documents that I've collected, released, my investigations and stuff from the past. I'm going to be building on that. And of course, there's other people contributing to that. And that's where I draw from. This is a podcast. I haven't done it in a long time. This is my home turf. I feel comfortable, so I'm a little bit relaxed. But the narrative, let's go back to what you were saying here. Yes, it's good that it's being talked about in mainstream media, because it is a thing that stuff has happened, stuff were viewed, things were covered up, and then they didn't talk about it, but they're still seeing these things. But because of the stuff that's happening, that's being covered up, is that the same stuff as what everybody else is experiencing, or is it separate? Because, and the other part of this the thing that I have issue with is that the information that was reported was not completely accurate. There's information that I helped bring forward that has come public, that a lot of people that are better than me, that are more, running with that story, and doing a lot of good work with it. That shows that Elizondo, falsified information. He's part of a group that doesn't actually exist. And then there's supporting documents and things like that too. And then he claims he's been gaslighted. Grush is the same thing. Grush has been groomed by Elizondo. The reason why you see him in the news and not Elizondo anymore is because it's part of the same stuff. There's a lot of misinformation that's being spread around, but it's getting the topic to Congress. Congress is doing something with it, and it's being taken serious. So on one hand, that is a good thing. But if you see the way that it's going and you see the evidence and the information to realize the stuff that they're talking about has no factual basis, no evidence, and the people they're asking for could cover it up because who knows? Like, look at the Epstein list, for an example. How much of that was redacted? They can sit down and redact a bunch of this stuff and, hey, give you what you wanted, but, you can't control what we redact. So do you think they're actually going to tell us that UFOs and aliens exist? No, because that means a whole lot of everything actually exists. So if you look at the way that things are being talked about, what's happening is a setup, or at least leading to some way to control that, so that way information isn't leaked again.
See, okay, well, let me ask you this, because, I've been following the David Grush story, with him testifying Congress, the whole thing. And David seems to be backed by Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. And see, but right now, see, these are kind of like our poster childs for this movement right now, at least, where I'm at now. And what they are bringing the topic to issue. But here's the problem, though. I need to try to figure out, so you're not a fan of David Grush. You think David Grush is representing something completely false?
I am a fan of everybody who puts the effort in. I just look at it from an evidence point of view. Grush has provided a statement like everybody else has, with no evidence like everybody else has. He is no different than anybody else who has a military background talking about information about things that they heard third party from other people. He's not an eyewitness to any of this. Or I can't say any. I haven't been following it for the last couple of days. So there could be information out there that I haven't seen yet. But
do you believe him, Ryan? Do you believe? Because
I believe that he believes what he was told. But that's the problem, is he was told by other people. He wasn't witness to it.
Why would this is, I've tried to think this way too. I'm thinking, well, if he was lied to,
yeah,
why would they want to put this lie out? Now, granted, I do know the loophole that David has with testifying in Congress. David has a loophole that he can testify in Congress as long as he doesn't lie. Well, as long as he's saying this is what I was told, and he can prove this is what he was told.
He is telling the truth of what he was told.
He's not lying.
Who told him?
There's no consequences. There's no consequences in his situation. And I totally see that.
Which is dangerous when that connection is that we have evidence that shows that Elizondo was grooming him. He was the next one to take.
What would be his incentive to? Because is Elizondo trying to sell books? Is he trying to make money?
Well, he is actively writing a book, and I'm sure he'll make money off of it, and he'll have nothing in it, just like the Skinwalker book that George Knapp put out in Stratton, a nothing burger. It's part of marketing. It's marketing 101. They're taking advantage of it. But here's the thing: it's just, I can't say what they have experienced doesn't exist, because we do know that the government has secret departments. The government withholds information. We do know all of these things are possible. But when the people are fighting to get this information and the public are getting worked up and doing all these other things and getting hopeful, what they seem to forget is that the government has the choice to release the information. They also have the choice to hold it back. And yes, there's laws that say they have to release it. But if I ask for information about a UFO program and it exists, I have to prove it exists for them to give me the information. Because if there's no proof that it exists, they don't have to show anything. Or if I miss something, they will not give me that information unless I ask for it. So they can selectively withhold information and redact it for privacy reasons. So they will never give the full hand because it'll affect the entire world. If UFOs do exist from extraterrestrials, other places, and they agree, and that becomes a world problem. That is a world threat.
That is a world problem.
If Grush is aware of this, Elizondo, whoever your Messiah is telling the truth, that the government is covering up something and they just want to stick it to them to get that exposed. They could be doing it for many reasons. They could be doing it because they got a raw severance package when they left the army or their service. They could be sticking it to their boss because it's their boss. Essentially, is who they're hammering.
Let me ask you this. Okay, let's say you want to, and this has been a technique of the CIA for people for years. They would go to other countries and they would start a coup somehow. They would plant something in the country to uprise. Do you think this is a possibility? Somebody intentionally from the government told Grush these things.
Intentionally.
Intentionally for him, that knowing that he would do what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And
he is a victim. He is a victim.
Then in that case, he is a victim. But here's the thing, though. What would be their incentive to do so? Is it to actually slowly release the information out to the world slowly? Because there's going to be, instead of throwing everything at once on us,
cannot, unless they have preparation to deal with a mass panic, they will not release that information. I have no doubt in my mind that we are capable to receive that information. Look how we handled the pandemic. The first thing we did is hoarded our freaking toilet paper. We are not smart enough to handle a global crisis on a whole. So that could have been a testing ground for things like that. But why would they do that? Well, and we're speculating because we don't know. It's still possible that they're telling the truth, which is what makes it scary for the experiencers, because they're sitting there with a weird experience. They don't know how it happened. Is it real? Is it not real? And they validated that it could not be real. But if it is real, holy shit, these things actually happen. So it's creating a hysteria already. So by the government agreeing to it, everyone's going to go into a panic. If they close it, some people will get mad about it, but we're 2% of the entire population, because a lot of people don't even know this stuff is happening. So the government's intent, if the government is giving false information to Grush to tell a convincing story because he believes it to be true, because the reputation of the people that tell him it is to do exactly what it's doing, is confuse the hell out of everybody. And if the government programs, now that the government programs are taking it serious because they have to, enough flags have been raised, enough bells have been rung, they have to respond. So now that they're responding, they have to do something, and they're either going to allow it or they're going to change things so that way the way that this happened doesn't happen again. Information was leaked. Information was stolen. Information was declassified. There's different, or never classified. There's so many different things about it. But at the end of the day, private information about something was given to the public. If it's not extraterrestrial, well, it's definitely, it's still a crime in some sense for our secrecy amongst men and women, humanity. So if the end game is about space, conquering that. So if this narrative is there and the United States is taking the lead on that, and okay, all they have to do is be like, you know what, we need more research. This is what we're doing. They've already canceled out 80 years of UFO knowledge already, saying we need to start from scratch, which pisses some people off, but that's good from an investigative tactic. Now they're looking into it. Then they look into it. There's nothing here, right?
Okay. I tell you what, Ryan, let's do this. Hey, we'll come right back, man. We got a commercial break we got to get to. Let's get to our commercial break, and we'll come right back. Guys, hang around. This is an interesting conversation with UFO investigator Ryan Stacey here on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
Business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
All right, for you guys, we're back here. We've got UFO investigator Ryan Stacey here the founder of TESA. We've had some exciting information he's been talking about so far, kind of breaking things down about the paranormal investigating experience. But this is what I want to do, Ryan. I want to hear a story, okay? And I'm sure some of the listeners do too. The viewers want to hear a story now. And you've heard a lot, dude. You have seen a lot. I can't even imagine the things that you've heard. Now, can you tell us something? You got an interesting story. Maybe was it an experience of your own? Maybe something that you're able to share. Maybe not drop a name. But was there ever an investigation, something that just really hit you hard, that just blew your mind?
Well, it depends on where you want to go. So like it ties into what we were talking about before the break. And if the government is doing what it's doing intentionally, is doing a good job to create an atmosphere so people will fund a PSYOP or fund some sort of weapons in a territory that has not been conquered yet. And just as much as those weapons are said to be pointed outwards, they very well can be pointed directly at us. And there's a lot of stuff like that. So like that is the biggest story, which adds to my that cripples my mental health when I can see that happening. I can see all the things that people are saying. I can see the reactions of people buying into this stuff. Now, they could be very well telling the truth. And I'm speculating based on my opinions of what I've observed because of the lack of information that's coming. That is the biggest investigation, is understanding the people that are involved. So I don't actually study the phenomena. I'm a private investigator, which I'm also a private UFO and paranormal investigator, which means I don't share to the rest of the world because it's between me and the experiencer, because it's a personal experience and it's to help me understand the global stuff of that, to figure out how it's all connected. So the biggest investigation that I've ever done is studying all these individuals that have depression, that have anxiety, that are been gaslighted, that have that are worried that their own mental illnesses are going to make them uncredible. They're worried that if they had a sip of alcohol that night that they saw their experience, that's going to make them not credible. There's so many nuances in there that prevents people from just being open about, hey, I saw some weird shit. I don't know what it is. It could be that, but it really affects their life. The darkest experience that I've ever had, which kind of put me in the support role that I'm trying to get into. And by trying is I need to step away from the disclosure stuff because I know it's not going anywhere, and focus back onto the people as I originally intended, because we have work to do. We have things that we need to do. But where the other hat comes in place with the investigative side of things is there's crime and there's abuse, and I don't think experiences are to be laughed at. I don't think that
well, I mean, it's taken seriously. Absolutely, 100%.
A lot of people are making money off of it, and you can make money from it. Some of it is honest, some of it is not. That's business 101. But the experiencer, who's choosing to put money in on the table, do all those other things, should get a return on their investment based on what exactly it is that is advertised. MUFON is a great example. You don't get what is advertised with what you're putting out there. But the darkest investigation, I would say, is not paranormal. It's not UFO. It's the truth. And the truth, I would say it's majority. I've used hypnosis as a tool, much like a lie detector test. You would use that as a tool. It may not be admissible in court, or it is admissible in court and not accepted. But they use that to link other things in place. Hypnosis is kind of like that in that sense, where we try to draw some information out. I have had numerous experiences where they believe to have been abducted by extraterrestrials and sexually molested. That type of experience is terrifying. To know that it's an extraterrestrial out there that is doing these horrible things elevates that stuff. But when you dig into it, you ask the right questions and you work with them privately and you're not trying to profit from it, you're not writing a book about it, you're not trying to get on TV about it, you're genuinely trying to show concern for these people, you start to realize that there's some normal things. You put them into hypnosis believing that, hey, this is an extraterrestrial. Describe to me this extraterrestrial or this being that you saw without any leading things. You don't say extraterrestrials. You don't lead into that. What did you see? Next, you know, they're describing a family member that's standing in the same freaking room. Then you have to deal with a confession of many years of rape, which is
awkward,
which is a real thing.
He's not dressed like an alien, though. That would
then
be.
You have the trauma, the years and years and years and years of this person leaving and believing that it was extraterrestrial because that idea is out there, and the paranormal is just as fucked. You know, you got what's his Johnny Bravo guy there from Ghost Adventures, Zach Bagans. That's it. Yeah. Sorry, you know, the entertainment value was needed, but now they're taking advantage of the people, and so I'm not finding anything I can't explain. However, I'm still speculating. I'm still assuming that it's this based on other things and not being able to rule out these possibilities. That's where the skepticism comes in.
Now let me do this. Okay. Yeah. Let me. So whenever because I think the hypnosis thing is a very interesting technique. I think it reveals a lot of stuff, you know, subconsciously that we don't even know. So I am a fan of that technique. So you've done this with people and you've heard similar experiences, what people, you know, similar things happening to people, correct? I mean, outside of like, you know, I mean, did they, other than them explaining, you know, Uncle Louie, you know, standing there in the corner while they're being under hypnosis, but have any of them gave like the grays, the alien grays and stuff like this? And
I've had experiences where they do describe foreign objects, if you will, like being on the crafts. I find that interesting. They don't appear to have any background in engineering. They don't appear to have any knowledge in how space machines or spacecrafts work, but yet they have these experiences where they're able to describe aerodynamics and certain mechanics of technology that I wasn't aware of until I did research to validate if this is possible, if this is a thing. You know, is there technology out there that does these weird things? Can you touch things with your hands and operate consciousness? You know, so all these things are possible. Just because it's possible, is it probable? You know, what is more likely and things like that. But if you give belief into that and you add the context that it's happening in their mind, doesn't mean it's make believe. It just means they're in another space and time experiencing this stuff. You know, you get some interesting stuff. You get some crafts that are maybe the size of a bus in the three-dimensional world. You go inside of it, and next you know, it's like 5 football fields big inside. You know, how does that work? You know, and then you get you have beings that teach you, they school you, they teach you information about codes and things like that. And that stuff is fascinating. That stuff is interesting.
So those have been similar stories, though, that you've been told and you've heard through these investigations.
Yes, and what makes it compelling, though, the way I do my investigations, it's not just watching a trend and seeing a whole bunch of things on repeat that, you know, to make this correlation or causation from correlation. It's, I know as the investigator that I've screened each and every one of these people separately, asked them the same questions that aren't leading, and then ask them to provide evidence. And when they don't have evidence, I get them to draw. And they draw things that look the same. They may call them differently. You know, one might call it shadow figure. One might call it an extraterrestrial. One might call it the Hat Man. Those are titles. But if you listen to those titles, you think 3 different things. But if you look at the images and remove those labels, they all are tall. They're all black. They all have red eyes. So there's things in common. And then the other thing is I know you're from Canada. I know you're from Australia. I know you're from the United States. I also know you guys don't know each other. And I also know that you don't know what I already know. And you couldn't have, you know, gotten this information from these other people. So is there a television show that this all could have come from? Is there propaganda? Is there what's in the media? You got to look at all those things. And even though there's a correlation, yes, myself grew up on X-Files. That's why, why I'm down the path I am in a similar sense. But then you get these comparisons and it's like, okay, what do these guys or people have in common? And it's this ability to use their mind to see another place in time, whether that's present, future, or the past, forward, backwards, up, down, whatever dimension they're doing it, these people have stuff in common. So part of the questions with the investigation is asking personal stuff, which is private. I am tabling some of the information for research, which I will release now that I'm gratefully free of this podcast. I can actually do the work that I promised for many years and I'm behind on. Where I can show what they have in common with each other.
Well,
similar blood types, similar eye colors, hair color, and they're all experiencing similar things. So is it the experience or is it the specific type of person through genetics that have the ability to I think we all have the ability, but they have a more enhanced ability to get to that place faster. Sooner.
All right, well, let's do this. Let's do this, Ryan. Because we're running tight on time here, and and I think we're gonna do a Q&A tonight for our followers and their subscribers. So if you do subscribe to the Beyond the Tinfoil Hat podcast, you can do a Q&A. You can ask questions, anything, and we will try our best to give you some type of half-ass answer. Probably better than a half-ass answer. But I'll tell you what, though, before we get into that, though, Ryan. Maybe for the first-time viewers, people just now tuning in who are just now learning about Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, where can they learn more about Ryan Stacey? Where, if they have an experience and they want to reach out to you about their experience, where can they contact you?
So the website is www.experienceyoursupport.org. It's running on the ticker here. It's also on the banner there. That is where you can access all that TESA has to offer. There is a page on there. The founder page is on there that has all my social medias, all my written work, links to all my research that backs up where my mouth is coming from. I do need to freshen up on some notes here. I think I might have speculated a little too much tonight, but I'm having a good time. But I mainly play on Facebook. I work on Twitter, and what I mean by that is everything I do on Twitter is calculated and.
Now, you guys call it Twitter, but it's not Twitter no more.
X now, right?
X. So, yeah.
So I have some fun on there, and that's usually where I'm behind the scenes and moving things along and do some stuff, and it's quite helpful. I used to say follow me on this podcast, but now it's Danny.
Well, definitely. If you're not subscribing to this podcast, you need to. So subscribe and follow to this podcast because we got some awesome episodes coming up, man. We got some really interesting guests that's going to be on the show that we're going to interview, from neurosurgeons to more experiencers, some really super cool stories. So you definitely want to tune in. And, this has been, a blast talking to the TESA founder, a little bit of history. We know how TESA come about, it's almost like a doc from Back to the Future. Ryan hit his head, and then he drew this thing, and this is all that he knew. It's a flux capacitor.
It was my mashed potatoes moment.
There we go. Mm-hmm. So,
well, see, I've gone through a transition. So for those who have been following me that haven't seen me talking,
now you need to explain. You've gone through a transition. What are we talking about here? A
spiritual transition.
There we go. All right. 2024, bro. You gotta be clarified
that one. Not that that's not okay. Everything's fine there.
It's great.
I gotta tell you, as an experiencer in the professional world, balancing whether or not I am sane with my thoughts, because I have my own experience and I get down these rabbit holes and I talk to these people and I see this probability. I have to dial myself back. I dial myself back to be like, okay, you know what? I'm feeding too much into this stuff. These guys I've told them the truth. They're not they're still running with the bullshit because it makes them money. Fine. I'm maxing them. That's not part of me anymore. But like I held on and I fought so hard to change so many people's thoughts. I trusted them. They screwed me around. They hurt me. I got upset. I got offended. I'm trying to save the world. All those thoughts. And then I had to come to realize that I got to save myself. So then I spent some time, refocused, figured out what it is that I can do to continue to assist the way that I used to do it before I got into this mess, understanding that I'm an experiencer now. I've learned some things. I can't go back. And what do I do with it? So the first step is to let it go. I'm letting go of the podcast. I'm letting go of my presence, I guess, I suppose, out in the public and preaching all these things. Now I'm doing this research aspect to actually show the work. I'm writing the books now. I'm doing the research and putting the data out there and hoping that more people will find it. And I'm actually just tuning in to the stuff that I wanted to do for a while. For the last few years, I had to advertise, I had to market, I had to screw some shit up for some people. I had to play them against each other in order to expose the truth to majority people. And that causes a lot of stress because as a private investigator, I can do it. I'm skillful. It's my job. I know how to pin people against each other and to do it on purpose to expose the truth, and then to have the people just bury it and still like cover it and make money off of it really, really affected me. So then it's like, what am I doing this for? Who am I doing this for? If I'm not doing it for myself, I need to do it for them and all these other things. So I actually had some consideration of just packing it all in, saying that's it, I'm done. I can't handle it anymore. There's too much pressure. There's too much stress. I cannot save the entire world, but I wanted to, and I still want to. But now I'm going to focus on every single experiencer one-on-one, one case at a time, and give them as much attention as I can. It's going to take longer. It's not going to be fast, but it's going to be quality. It's going to be good. It's going to be accurate, and I'm going to feel good about helping you. It's a long list, but if if it's an emergency, call 911.
I tell you what, hey Ryan, let's do this. Let's get this chat going, brother. What do you say? You want to get this live chat going?
Live chat's at 9:30, bro.
Oh, at 9:30.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, then I'm off. Sorry. There we go. Okay, we're a little early. I'm sorry. I thought it started at 9.
No,
I
sir.
apologize.
That's okay. You got me for 20 more minutes. Let's go.
20 more minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Now this has been great, brother. Okay, so but let's do this. You talked about how now you're wanting to take a step back from the podcast to put more energy into the investigating. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, are there any things that you're able to talk about? Anything that future projects that you're working on, or any big investigations?
Well, I have thousands upon thousands of documents that no one has ever seen that I need to get transcribed, and published on the website and put the pieces of the puzzle together. One example is I put out a document from which has already been released on the Falcon Lake incident, but this particular document was a Canadian event, happened in Falcon Lake, Manitoba, in the 67. But this particular document references RCMP and Royal Canadian Air Force doing an investigation on this sighting. But the people that assisted them with this sighting was Dr. I don't remember his name, something Craig, who is actually part of the University of Colorado, which was assigned from the Condon Committee. And there's also evidence of APRO, which is what MUFON was before it became MUFON, boots on the ground in Canada, investigating this infamous UFO case that we have in Falcon Lake. So by doing on the declassified side of things and actually breaking it down and making my virtual crazy board, I'm able to connect the dots. And I do believe that the answers to the American problem is in my Canadian documents, because Canada doesn't redact shit. The only thing they really redact is maybe someone's phone number and address, so you can't call them and hound them. But they really don't redact much. Whereas the United States, they redact everything. Why? guilty conscience, maybe, they know what's going to be said. So that's the disclosure side of things. I'm going to be doing some more podcasts as well to interview, to advertise TESA, because it's not just me. TESA is Chris, is you, is Don, is Christy, Michael, Alex. There's a few people. Cece, if you're listening, you're coming back, at some point. It's you, it's my wife Priscilla. TESA is about everybody. It's the Experiencer Support Association. That is everybody helping everybody through everything. Me on the personal side of things, though, is I'm getting down into the investigations to help the people find resources, understand what exactly is going on, look for information to help them understand it, and then they go on and they share, and then they learn, and then it'll all work out. I'm only a small part of this puzzle. I am not.
So you're saying, though, the Canadian government doesn't hold back near as much stuff as what the United States government does when it comes to this kind of stuff?
Well, visually, I should say. So when I get these documents, I might see a small speck of black redaction. I see your United States documents and you got 13, 14 pages redacted before you get information. So, I'm sure they do redact information, but it's quite possible that Canada is harboring information or holding the technology. And there is a lot of evidence to support that in some of the declassified documents I've already released. Because there are agreements where Canada has to talk to the United States. It's joint, all this other stuff. Stuff happens in our place. We tell them, and then they hide it. So I have this. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence that surrounds this idea that Canada is not going to spill the United States can of worms. But Canada is separate, and they know that the United States is responsible for some of these things that are going on. So we also want this disclosure in the United States to happen, so that way, everything is exposed, and then we can kind of deal with it and make decisions as our own sovereign country.
What do you think about the recent weather balloons being shot down?
Well, one of them has been confirmed as a weather. Only one of them has been confirmed as a weather balloon. The other two are alleged to be weather balloons based on their description.
But we've never seen any follow-up evidence at all after, apparently they didn't find it.
I have information that is coming. I think we're about a month away from the deadline that they extended. It might come surface. Other people are looking for it. So we might get something on our end that explains it. So that is in the hopper. I will publish that when I get it. It could be satellites with balloons on them. It could be toys. It could be a whole bunch of things. Whatever it was, someone shut it down, and it's now missing. That's the thing. Was it recovered? Was it not? And we can't speculate. That could be the truth. Just because the government has lied to us about some things doesn't mean they're lying to us about everything, right? And I
mean, there is a possibility where it did go down is a pretty rough area to just pick things up.
Yeah, and it could be the truth, but because we do not accept that, we haven't truly worked on ourselves to understand what our experience is, what it is I'm doing this for, what answers I actually need, or what questions I actually have, and come to peace with it. If more of us did that, it would be a lot easier. But the thing is we globally are suffering. We globally feel that we've been lied to about many things. We're mad about our taxes. And because they're covering up the UFOs, fuck the government because my taxes are high. Those things are not connected, or maybe they are, but we think like that. There's a lot of primitive thinking, and I want to step away from that because I can't help that, and I want to continue to help those who want to be helped. Because
what do you think about the people, though? You have a lot of these people who think they understand misdirection, by the way, but they think that, this UFO stuff is just a way to get us to not think about that birthmark on Donald Trump's back, or it
is. But I mean, it's a tactic. It's a strategy. global affairs is what's important. How does it affect the entire world? What we're doing here in this podcast is like an ant in this world. You know, we are a big voice, but I mean, we need a lot of us before we can.
Well, you know, this is something I want to talk about. I want to bring up too, because I find this interesting, and it's something that I didn't actually. And I guess this is kind of a bit of arrogance, a bit of first world problems, I guess. But you know, a lot of people talk about how if they ever did release, the government came out at once, hey. Aliens have been here. They visit us. This is the history. This is the history you've never been told about. This is what's actually happened. And how it may have an impact on religions. Well, you know, I've talked to a lot of Christians and people, and some of them, you know, you'd be surprised at the amount of them who do believe in UFOs. And, you know, even with some of the,
old Catholic scapegoat.
Well, people, but what I want to get at though is, they'll look up and they'll think, you know, well, yeah, it very well could be angels or it could be UFOs. It could be stuff like that. But now this is what I have not stopped to consider. Christianity is not the only religion of the world.
That's the newest.
Exactly. So but when you look at how may it impact some of your Muslim countries, how would it impact, you know, some countries where, I mean, their religious beliefs are much more conservative than anything we have here in North America. What would happen? What would be the implications of something like this coming out?
That's why I'm saying disclosure is not going to happen, because everything will change. Well, if it's going to happen, it's not going to happen right away.
And I mean, I know nothing against Muslim people at all whatsoever, you know, but I mean, I just wonder how it, you know, there's that. Absolutely.
Well, they believe one God, right? One God, Allah, and His Prophet Muhammad. I'm very familiar with Islamic faith. And it's a different perspective from Christianity. But Islam historically would be, I think, the first kick of the can of changing having a single God instead of the multiple gods and all the other religions that we've had in mythology and things like that too. And I find it more close to the old ways and Sumerian and stuff than anything else.
Very interesting topic with
but that we don't have time to get into that. But the problem is there's a lot that goes into the yes. So I can't say they're not going to do it. I don't know. I'm not psychic. I don't claim to be. I mean, I just had a vision of something from somewhere. I don't know where it came from. It could have come from myself. I just want to clear that out. I ain't psychic. I'm not a prophet in any ways, shape, or form. I don't know. I only know what I've researched. But I also know patterns because I've studied people. I know people are predictable. Habits are there. To find a thief, to find an abuser, like it's easy. There's markers. It's done. And I see that in the UFO community. I see it everywhere, and it's disgusting. But for the government to say yes to this, to UFOs, means ghosts are real, Bigfoot is real, spontaneous combustion could be real. I mean, I think that's a thing. I think that is.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think that's been proven now. Whichever thought you want, all of it exists. But if they can cover up the fact that they have reverse engineered technology from something that they took from Iraq, which is actually, Baghdad is essentially Sumer.
An archaeology find.
Yeah. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they cover it up and then they use it as sound weapons. Like so many, you want to get into Tartarian and things like that, free energy. There's darker things than extraterrestrials and UFOs.
Somebody even at one time, here's another cool theory. And somebody even said one time that it would wreck the world economy, not just religions.
Well, it would destroy the world. So there has to be supports in place. So support groups like the Experiential Support Association. My thought with this vision was that I had to do the whole damn world. I can't. I think what it is to set an example so that way others will follow and more support groups will come out of it. And since then, more support groups have come out to help experiencers and help them cope with it. Because when disclosure happens in whatever shape or form, we're going to need people who know what's up and how to deal with those traumas. We're going to need psychologists on board. We're going to need therapists on board. We're going to need a lot of support groups in place for experiencers when that yes comes. Those supports aren't in place yet. So if they don't put those supports in place, And they say, yes, the whole world is going to destroy itself. Everyone's going to go chaotic. Nothing is real, which is an interesting thought when you get into the flat earth community, talking about the community, not the theory. These people, you know, are strongly pushing towards the fact that the government is lying about, you know, certain stuff. It's not so much the shape of the earth. It's the fact that there's resources that are unavailable to us. We're suffering, we're in poverty, but yet there's a strong possibility that beyond this wall that everyone makes fun of, that there's additional land, additional resources that could help us. It's not about the shape. The argument's not the shape of the earth. But these individuals as people, they're suffering too. But what they have in common is this distrust in NASA and things like that too. So there's a lot of things that bring these people together. We're all suffering. We all want answers because we were created somehow, and because of the absence of God, regardless of what God you believe in, all of them have checked out. None of them are here unless we start to believe we are the God. We were created in our own, in his image, in his or her image, his likeness. We become more powerful. We become more one with ourselves. Then the world changes because we change the thought. Thought is conscious. The consciousness changes and directs everything. So if they say doing all these things to change our thought makes us think negative, which gives us negative energy, negative vibrations, and that multiplies. To tell us that aliens exist might create negative energy. It might create positive energy, but they have to balance it. Once there's too much negative, they need to throw some positive in there, right? That's when you have your elections. You know, one side does one thing until they have enough of it, and then they put the other party in, so you have enough of that, so you have this choice, and then it all balances out. So the thing that we need is more positive energy. And when we have more positive thoughts, then we're able to do that. And the best way to keep it positive is to just neutralize it, and it doesn't exist, and cover it up. Because if everybody starts to panic, then we lose control. They lose control. They're in charge. They don't want to lose that control. The only way they would lose that control is if they took control of it. The extraterrestrials are impregnating our mind. Why can't they just show up? They can fly their craft and land on our field.
That's another interesting. I mean, if you criticize the whole thing, okay. Yeah. If they're able to hijack our consciousness and take us to another dimension and experiment on our bodies,
are they aliens or are they just other humans?
Well, I mean, there's always been that debate to where it not just be future humans, or they may be of Earth themselves, you know, and we may not be at the top of the food chain that we thought we were, you know, like we thought we were. There's several theories here, but here's my point though: if they're capable of doing the hijacking consciousness and stuff like that, then why don't they just hijack everybody? It's like, hey, we're here, you know, accept us, you know, this is the ordeal. You know what I mean? Why? I mean,
there has to be a balance. You can't have total control.
So, but I mean, well, and here's something else though, you know, that a lot of people, you know, a lot of people's criticism about this, they will say, well, why would an advanced civilization come here? Why not? You know, that's my thing. Why not? You know, another thing is like, well, if they've got the technology to travel all these light years to here, maybe they do, maybe they don't. We don't know, but they're always putting them so much more intelligent than us, so much higher than us. Well, not exactly. I mean, I think each species has their own strong points. You know what I mean? Like, you know, a duck is great at being a duck. You know,
does it know it's a duck?
I don't know. Hell, I don't know. But son of a bitch, if you see his legs underwater, he's moving like hell and he's quacking. He knows he's good at whatever he does. But my point being, though, is maybe there's some things they're good at. Maybe there's some things they're not good at. But there's so many questions here. Like we could go down that rabbit hole. That's a whole new conversation, you know, almost there.
Well,
but
I guess I want it to be true because I like that. The thought of when we die, nothing happens is terrifying. And
See, I don't believe in that at all. And the reason why I don't believe in that is at one time I did.
mm-hmm.
One time I was a full-blown atheist.
But it also could be the truth. It could be the truth.
Well, at one time I thought that's what happened. I thought this is kind of got to be what happens. But I personally, okay, this is just kind of my thoughts. I think even on the evolutionary process, we have hands because we have to grab things. We have hands for self-defense. We have things because it's a survival technique. Yeah. When you take an imagination, okay, first of all, everything that exists around us right now, your house, that hat, this computer, was a thought. It was a thought first. It was a thought inside someone's brain before it ever existed, okay? Somebody built it. You see what I'm saying? So that's where it began. Why do we have an imagination? Why do we have the ability? Why do we have this ability to almost know there has to be a beginning? There has to be. We all have it. We all have that craving of knowledge, of wanting to know where we came from. Okay, that's there for a reason. So I think if there wasn't some type of creator beginning, we wouldn't have those feelings.
Well, it's an assumption because we are sophisticated and we have egos and we want to believe that we are bigger than ourselves, but we very well could be just evolved and that's it. And we've created this control because someone along the lines saw an opportunity, or but how were they taught that? Where did the first civilization come from? And when you go into ancient astronaut theories and stuff like that, that's where someone had to teach us how to be this way. Otherwise, we still be Neanderthals, right?
There's that possibility too, to where when you go back and you look at the caveman, then all of a sudden, bam, here we are.
Well, end of the day, what matters is how you feel about your individual experience. If you believe that whatever has happened to you is a positive thing and is teaching you to do good, then do good. My focus is to work with people that have negative experiences to try and help them work through that or accept the possibility that it could be normal things and that it isn't as scary, or maybe it is as scary, and learn more things about that. Help them grow, help them stop being traumatized by all these things. At the same time, find help, figure out the right help that they need that's willing to, risk licenses and things like that to assist with things like that, to get to the actual bottom of what's creating this this environment. Now, if I were to separate myself from that and totally just work on myself, which I am still doing, I've started meditating. I've started, I'm not even quite sure if my reality right now is a dream, could be a dream. And when I sleep, I wake up. Like there's a twist there. Like I have no idea of my sense of consciousness anymore because I've learned and saw, and I do so many crazy things with my mind now. But like, that doesn't make me paranormal. Doesn't make me a ghost. It doesn't make me a psychic. It's just me understanding that this is more powerful than I ever known, and how much of this garbage has fed to it. So I had to destroy the cult. I had to expose the cult, destroy the people, expose the people, get them all gathered up. Truth is out there. I've washed my hands clean. Now focus on what I do know, helping those wake up, I guess, if you will, encourage them to do good. And if there's more of them, then there's less of them. More of us, then there's less of them. I mean,
well, okay. I'll tell you what, now I first of all, I want to say, man, this has been a great conversation. A lot of interesting stuff, like it's always, interesting talking to you. You're very knowledgeable. And I know we could talk about this for another, 26 days straight, probably. You know what I mean? But here's now I think it's ready for the chat. Are you guys ready to do like the live chat?
It's called the after chat.
The after chat. Well, here, I do want to say this. For the people who have tuned in and watched this episode, thank you so much for checking out the Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. If you haven't, please subscribe, follow this podcast. We will have an audio only out on everywhere you listen to podcasts, or you can always check us out right here on YouTube. But definitely tune in for next week. We'll be back next week at 8:00 on Thursday, and I'm going to have a special guest to interview. Very interesting topic. So definitely tune in. And for you guys who are subscribers hanging around here, well, let's do this live chat now. Let's. Anybody got any questions or anything you'd like to shoot?
All right, that does it for this episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. A big shout out for tonight's awesome guest, and a bigger shout out for everyone who tuned in. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. And like always, be sure to stay curious, heed the world, and keep the paranormal normal. I'm your host, Danny Whitson, and this has been Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
All right, we are back here with the live stream chat here for our subscribers and followers. Let's see. What do we got? I'm new to the live chat world, Ryan.
I know. We're working out the kinks, though. It's good, though. It's good. We're popping the first thing for you there. I'll remember where I'm at here. So the after chat, what we normally do is we look at the comments, which you should be able to see, and say hello to our guests. And you can have your guest be a part of the after chat, or you can do it by yourself, whatever you want. But this time I decided to hang around because it's my last time in the chair here. So, I want to see who's been in the chat. So can you see the comments?
Let's see. I see some comments over here from a first comment. Looks like from Christy Ann Houghton. Can you see that?
Yeah. So what Chris can do is he can click the comment and then you can read it. So if you see or you could should be able to click the comment. I don't know.
Okay, here we go.
Chris will do it. But he would have started. So we can say hello to everybody. Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Cece. Yes, you were in the audience. I had a feeling. Hi, Cece. You remember Cece, right?
Let's see. Where are you seeing?
You not see it on the screen here? You don't see it on your screen over here?
Oh, Cece. Yes, I see Cece. Hello. How are you doing?
So Big and Funky Productions.
Big and Funky. That's my people right there.
It says, I'm only here because I was promised butt rubs. Oh.
Butt rubs. Yes, he was. I will be giving him butt rubs. Let me give him a quick plug real quick.
Yeah,
Big and Funky Productions. Actually, they make fantastic movies. So if you guys are into comedy, horror, movies. This is definitely, you want to check them out. They've got a series of movies out right now, out on streaming. Apple TV, Prime, Tubi. I mean, anywhere you want to watch some cool movies, big and funky. I was actually in one called WJHCAM. You can definitely check that out. Highly recommended, but much love to Big and Funky. Those are my people right there. Much love. Butt rubs. Much butt rubs.
So, Chris, if you want to help, just put the comments or questions on there for Danny, and then he can read them. And then
what does this say? Danny looks like he eats hot dogs sideways. Don't put that one on there.
Is it on there? So Ray says nuns don't work on Sunday. I don't know where that came from. No
Nuns
comment?
don't work on Sunday. Have you seen The Nun? Have you seen The Nun?
Not the movie, no.
Okay. Well, you know what? You know what would be more terrifying would be The Priest. Okay, let's just say that. All right. Let's leave it at that. Sorry, Catholics. It's a release, not a fight. What does that mean?
So these are comments from earlier in the show. So this is a comment from 817, right? So we'll work at the cakes. If you want to do the comments in the middle of the interview, they're off to the side. You can pull them up. You do them however you want. This format is just how I've done it. This Army had no idea.
Yeah, he was in the Army.
Yes,
You're getting all the questions. Had no clue you was an Army man.
Yep.
You're kind of like a Rambo.
Well, yeah.
This isn't my war.
CC says everything is connected. We are one. Yes.
I totally agree, CC. I think you can learn that without doing shrooms or an acid trip. But if you want to do DMT, that's your thing. Do it. But I totally agree. We are one.
So for the audio listeners, actually, no, they're not going to get the podcast. Never mind. You guys can, read it.
I don't believe in ETs anymore. The PSYOP got me for a while. The UAP exists, but they aren't coming from outer space. You know, there's a very strong chance you're right. They could be here already. I mean, like I said, I think there's a possibility that, interdimensional beings, they just become from another dimension, or like I said, hell, they could be here. We just don't realize that they've always been here. You could be totally right. This is the dream. The afterlife is the real thing. We are always dying, but never gone. CC is just full of knowledge. Just full of knowledge. I mean, I believe in an afterlife personally. I do, but here's the other thing. I believe in afterlife not because I have to have proof or I have to have all these things. I want to. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I want to see my parents again someday. I want to see my grandmother someday. So the reason why I believe that, because I can. You know what I mean? So now I don't necessarily follow a particular religion or a particular rule book, but that's my choice. But I think that's a great way to think. We're never gone. I love that. I don't think you can study ufology without understanding spirituality. The entities are highly spiritual. I'm on that too. CC is just.
I agree with that 100%. And trying to I spent so many years trying to convince these people to do that, but they'll figure it out on their own. It took me a while to let that shit go. But ufology is the study of unidentified objects. So how can you actually study something you cannot identify?
You don't know exactly
to study it. So the term ufology is I think is bullshit.
Yeah, it's just a word. Lisa, my experiences are not spiritual, but I find how other experiencers are spiritual very interesting. I think it's a personal thing, because I am a spiritual person. That's what I consider. And I I always used to laugh at people who said, I'm spiritual. And I was like, what the hell is that? What does that even mean? But it wasn't until, I put some deep thoughts, a lot of thinking, a lot of self-awareness into it. It's like I said, I think people who have had true experiences, which I've had, it kind of opens your mind up to that spiritual world. Cece's back. I'm always suspicious. I don't trust anyone. My own spirituality has developed only when I learned to surrender and release control and expectations. Wow.
I can agree. I can agree with that because like I've been fighting it for so long. And then now that I'm comfortable with it, and it's like, I don't know why I fought. But now that
I think you should always be suspicious because people are so full of shit. We love to make bullshit up and lie, and we love attention. I'm not going to drop his name, and I really don't want to drop his name, but who was just pissing me off with his crazy batshit stories. It sound like some of it. Sorry, CC, but this guy, he's been popping around a lot of the UFO podcast here lately, and it probably wouldn't be too hard to figure out who we're talking about, but he does mix a lot of spirituality with his stories, but it's so off the wall that I think he's just trying to, there might be a little truth, but I think this guy was also adding bullshit to, cover some pages.
Well, mixing religion is hard because
Which he totally has.
Well, a lot of people do.
Yeah. Which is okay.
You get people who will rip apart the theology or the mythology part because they are atheists or they don't believe in that.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing more annoying because me being a former atheist, there's nothing more annoying than an arrogant ass atheist. And trust me, brother, you can't fool me.
They could be right too, though. They could be right.
No, I'm not saying that they're 100%. No, there's a chance we die and we just, that's it. What a boring, pointless thing of existence and a depressing ass way how to walk around and live in my book. But, I think some atheists are atheists because they don't like what religion has tried to force feed down their throat, which is the wrong reason though to be an atheist, or they're mad because they can't stand, experiences that they had with organized religion, which is the wrong reason to be an atheist. To me, I think it makes more evolutionary sense to not be an atheist.
Well, it could be a combination of everything because like many people witness an event and they go different places and they tell the story of their families and they never tell the same thing. They miss different details and things like that. That happened years and thousands of years ago. So the idea, the belief part with this guy who I know what you're talking about, is if he cannot compartmentalize or separate the two between what he believes versus what he knows, that becomes challenging. There's so much belief that it's demonic and that's a label and it's associated with the angel side of things, which is very specific. But to determine whether or not it's an angel or a demon requires certain characteristics, and you also need intent. So if you see, a creepy, like I say that's judgment. So we add a lot of judgment. So if you see a 10-foot tall black figure standing at the end of your bed while you are trying to sleep and all the doors are locked and you're all alone in your house, you're going to freak out and you're going to assume it's demonic. But you don't even know if it is demonic because it hasn't said anything to you. You make this judgment because you are afraid of it. So with adding the religion to it, those are judgments based on the characteristics. And if they are angelic or extraterrestrial or from other higher places, that is an assumption based on where they came from. and they are the same being. I am capable of doing bad things. I'm just as much as I am capable of doing good things. When I do good things, you could call me an angel. When I do bad things, you could call me a demon. I've been called worse. I have that choice. So when we put that spiritual label on it, it's very specific to that faith. But is that faith perfect? No, because there's thousands of other faiths out there, and this story has been told many, many, many different times. So the danger with the we'll say, with his testimony, is he's really putting his cards down on this being specific to a Catholic and Catholic only experience.
Yeah. No, and I got to say something that's interesting, because a lot of times, I didn't think of that, like people who, it's easy to see something that you don't understand, and if it looks unfamiliar to you and uncomfortable to you, you're going to associate it to being bad, evil. But if it was,
is also
if you see, Brad Pitt wearing a toga, and you're like, oh, it's Brad Pitt wearing a toga, that's not going to hurt me, Well, but then you see like this big dark figure standing over there, and you're like, oh my God, it's got to be evil. That's true. I mean, you it's just like anything else. We base that assumption based out of fear.
But even Brad Pitt wearing a toga, you'd be like, oh, he ain't going to do anything. And next, he's freaking Troy, boom, kill you.
Yeah.
Troy, he sneaks out on you, like
he's fingering your ear holes, doing weird things.
So we as experiencers are quick to judge. When you're having your experience, you need to collect the details and not make assumptions. And if they don't tell you that they, are mean to do harm, then they're not going to do harm. But then you get experiences where actually harm happens. And it's a little trickier to convince the experiencer that they don't intend to be harmful or that they're demonic, because evil things happen to them. But are they evil? So like, if you're in an operating room and the anesthetic wears off and you're freaking the fuck out,
that would suck.
But they're helping you. It's terrifying because you don't know what's going on, but their intention is to save you. If you look at, the Travis Walton experience, whether that's true or not, you believe it one way or another. His belief is that those extraterrestrials were trying to repair the damage that they caused. But in somebody else's interpretation, if they don't remember any of that and they wake up and they see extraterrestrials operating on them, yeah, that's terrifying if the context isn't there. So we have to, it's hard to do. Like, I lost my mind with my experience. I've only found it recently, like 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Damn it. Well, I tell you, do we have any more? Do we have any more questions? Anything? Any comments?
Chris? I see one on there. Someone asked if I hit my head. Oh, Angela.
Did Ryan hit his head? Angela wants to know, did Ryan hit his head? I saw that in a vision.
I have not.
So like Doc from Back to the Future, did you hit your head?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. If it was dropped on my head, that would have been a long time ago.
Is Angela a psychic?
She is an experiencer, and she does have psychic characteristics with her experience. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
You did hit your head last winter when you tripped. I have it on video.
Oh, yeah, I ate it. That was a light. I walked there. I got a door cam, obviously, and I walked out to go home and start the car, and I slipped and fell, smoked my head on the ground, and then I decided to share the video to Chris, saying, "Hey, here's a freaking laugh," and then he made like some TikTok freaking slow thing, and I told him if I ever saw that video, he'd be fired. So it's on record now.
Well, you did then. You hit your head.
I guess so. I guess it did. So your vision is true, Angela. This guy. when did
Scarborough Sasquatch Station. That is a badass name, I gotta say. When Ryan started claiming he was now psychic, yeah, sure.
Did I say it was psychic?
I don't know, but that is the most Canadian yeah I've ever. That sound Canadian, pretty hardcore. Yeah. Did I say it right? Yeah.
I am not psychic. I had a psychogenic experience, which means an experience.
I'm not psychic. I had a psychedelic. There's a difference.
I wish I could move objects. I wish I could tell the future. It would make it a lot easier for me to do my investigations. Now, remote viewing is something I like to get into.
I think there's a possibility of remote viewing being a. Now, here's the thing, though. I'm a magician, so I'm not. There's some people out there. I don't want to drop his name either, but he's famous for being full of shit on the remote viewing stuff. And I can disprove most of this stuff. That there's a lot of stuff out there. The the $1 million challenge that the amazing. Oh my God, how can I forget? The amazing Randy used to have. A big skeptic, which I respect big time. Removed an implant. Scarborough Sasquatch Station removed an implant from within my face. Why is there very minimal talk and research into this topic?
Ooh.
That's interesting. That's something that it's been, I'll be honest, I've been slow to jump on that because I don't know how much information I've seen things where people have went to the doctor and they're like, hey, there's something embedded in my leg, and they find something and they don't know what kind of material this is. But how much, on the skeptic side of this, okay, how much research is there on foreign objects? Dude, from the time we're children to now, we have fallen scrapes and God knows what all we have crammed in our bodies. Some of us, intentionally. But you know what I mean?
Implant, that word implant implies that whatever object that they removed was first inserted. So there's an assumption there that it's been implanted. Most people think that when they pull something out of their body that they didn't put that in there. They don't remember.
Or wasn't an accident of some sort.
They got a splinter and they thought they got it out. And the next thing you know, it festered up to their arm and then it swelled and they take it out and there's cartilage on it. There's a lot of explanations for that because there's information that doesn't go. But the evidence of the implant, so that if Scarborough had removed it himself or herself, I'm assuming, it's a guy. I think we've talked about it.
I love the name Scarborough. I love that name. It's a badass name.
If he removed it himself, then he is witness to it. He knows what he took out or what it looks like. He may not know until he biologically tests it. So the hard thing with implants is when it's surgically removed, most of it just gets thrown out. They just toss it in the bin, right? Unless it's a biopsy and they want to test it to see if it's cancerous or anything like that. Then they'll do some tests on it. So if you pull the object out yourself, you need to get it to a lab, or you need to understand evidence.
Well, okay,
contaminated to get it tested. Another
thing, though, I find it. So if you had an experience where you were abducted, and then because of some of these stories, that is what is taking place. They've had an experience where they've been abducted, and then later on they find something, in their skin and they have it removed. And a lot of times it's we don't know what type of material this is. This is insane. Now, we don't know how easily anyone can tell what kind of material is that's been embedded in your body for, 26 years or not to be even a skeptic side of it. To say that that was really put there by extraterrestrials or from an abduction experience that you had and it was something. But the other thing that I find, kind of weird there is, why would they intentionally leave something there? Was it accidental? What was what's the point? They don't need to put an Apple iPod stuck to you. What is it?
There's a lot of missing information. And in another similar situation where this gets messed up is you'll have an experience where people are, this is the story, and I get this so many times. It's just look at this picture, look at this object. And I'm looking at it, and I can tell that it's a light refraction. I can tell, hands down, because I've looked at millions of them. And I've been able to prove it, do the math, I've done it. And I can simply say it, that this is a light refraction. But people cannot, accept that. You have to explain it. You got to do the math for them. But then it's like, well, tell me how this experience happened. Well, I took some pictures with my family, and then I left. And then, okay, that's great. And then what happened? Well, then we carried on our day. And we did this and we did that. Okay, and then what happened? Well, then I came home, and a few weeks later, I was looking through my pictures. And when I looked through my pictures, I saw this anomaly that wasn't there when I took it. And their thought process is because it wasn't there when they took the photo, and they're looking back at it, that it must have been supernatural. Meanwhile, so much time has passed, so much information, has been avoided or not documented, and it completely eliminates the possibility of them having a true experience because they didn't notice it, and you can clearly see that it's reflecting light from the iris of the camera. And again, there's that assumption that it's paranormal. With the implant, a lot of details are missing, but that's why you need a proper investigation. So you report it. I'll ask you the right questions. I'll put you through the Ryan Stacey test, and if you're left with stuff that I can't explain, it will end up on my website. It will end up in our reports, and I will be asking other people to tell me what it is, because there are some weird shit that I cannot explain. There is. I can explain a lot, and there's still a lot of things I'm on the fence about that I'm still learning from other experts that are better than me. And Danny, your podcast now, you're going to change the format to the show however you want. Talk to Chris, work it out so you guys got a nice plan.
Definitely your baby, and we will take care of her, and we will, like I said,
I'm looking forward to watching it on my couch and participating in the chat, stirring some shit up during the show, and seeing where you take it. It's a great honor to have you take this over for me, and I appreciate the opportunity that you've given the experiencers, because now I can do the work that I promised that I was trying to do for all these years, but I couldn't because I was building TESA. Now that TESA is built, guys got to use it. Now I got to go. I'm gone.
All right. Well, do your thing, brother. And next Thursday, man, like I said, I'm looking forward to this one next Thursday. I know there was a few bumps in the road. I was a little off of my time schedule, but overall, I think this was pretty good, man.
It's all good, man. People showed up, and people are going to see it on the replay. We'll pay attention. We'll work at it. You have the opportunity now, before I close this off for my final time, unless you bring me back on a specific topic. We'll talk about that at some time, and we'll really hammer down some stuff. Maybe I'll do some updates once in a while. But tell everybody who you are, where to find you.
Absolutely. Well, for you guys who've hung around, with the chat, or, you can learn more about me at DannyWhitsonMagic.com. I'm a professional magician / comedian, and I travel around doing shows anywhere I can, anywhere that'll have me. And like I said, you can learn more about me at DannyWhitsonMagic.com. You can check me out on social media at Danny Whitson Magic and Comedy, or at Super Magic Boy on Instagram. I post a lot of information about myself there too. I'm very interested in the paranormal and UFO world. And although I love to laugh, I love to make fun of things, I love magic, but I do take this topic very serious. So, I do like to make things a little lighthearted, but that doesn't take any of the seriousness away from this topic. But yeah, definitely learn more about me. You can check that out. Go to the website, give me a follow on social, and I look forward to seeing some people come back next week.
All right. Chris, cue the music. Good to go. All right. So normally this music will play your warning as time to go. Everybody, thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. See the world. I'll see you sometime.
Keep the paranormal normal.